How's it going? Another day, yet another warm up. But today is not any other warm up, but 45. And ideally your suggestion. Hey Bruno, how's it going? Hey Miguel! What's good, buddy? So topics. What do you have in store for me? What do you have? Give me your best shot. What am I going to draw? Is this activated? Yes, it is. Zombie Space Marine. Ooh. Ooh. Sounds fascinating. Hopefully it's number one. Any other topics are more than welcome to be suggested. Or it's going to be Zombie Space Marine. I don't think I've ever drawn a Zombie Space Marine. And I don't know if I would be able to draw a 40k Space Marine. Like from the top of my head accurately. Probably I'd get it somewhere close. But definitely not 100% accurate. I know that like the big shoulder things and the helmet, more or less, and the big eagle on the chest. Oh, I mean, I worked for 40k before. I've drawn Space Marines, you know, using reference. But I'm no die-hard 40k fan. War correspondent zombie. Oh, you Bruno. Painful. Please don't be that one. I don't want to have anything to do with war correspondent. Let's see here. Which window is that? Don't worry. It's the nature of the beast. It's my own fault if I ask for it, right? So any other suggestions on topics? We got Zombie Space Marine and War Correspondent Zombie. Hey there, Rada. How's it going? Good morning. How's the puppy? Any more suggestions before I roll the dice? Any topic suggestions? Otherwise, we got 3, 2 from Miguel. Oh, you had no sleep. Yeah, well, there you go. Puppies for you. Hey, Zealin. Space triplets. That's a cool topic. Okay, we can't do 2 topics for Miguel, so Miguel gets 1. So we have 3 topics. Alright, that means we're going to split the dice in 3. So 1, 2 is number 1. You can't have 2. But anyways, right. No, stop. No, what's happening? Clear. 1 dice. Throw. 3. Oh, the pain. Oh, I knew it. I knew it. It's gonna be War Correspondent Zombie. Of course it will be. God damn it. Okay. War Correspondent Zombie. Of course it would be. Why would it be anything else? Why would it be anything else? That's the question. You guys love to see me suffer, don't you? All of you are laughing. Hey, Ides of March, how's it going? March. Okay, I'm not gonna try to redraw the war correspondent. Just a little. Bastards. I'm not gonna try to redraw. I'm gonna draw war correspondent zombie. Miguel, I know, right? I'm gonna do a different kind of war correspondent, not the one that I tried to draw before. I'm gonna draw a different one, and I'm gonna be playing around with a sketching technique. The dice are bewitched. Indeed they are. Indeed they are. So I want to try this a little bit of a play with a light only technique. The idea behind it, what I want to try is I want to try to capture the light correctly, and then add textures on top. And I want to add a layer of complexity to it with shadows a little bit. We'll see how that goes. The chances are it's not going to be lights only, and it's going to be a little bit convoluted in the terms of defining the volumes. But I want to try this idea I had. So the idea is capture the volumes, capture the light, and then slap photos on top, using, let's say, overlay and things like that, so that I'm not negating any of the volume I've created. But to see if we can't get faster results, more faster and more complex results that are really good for the future, like of a painting. You know, so it's set up for what's it called? Like if you want to make the painting or your sketch more advanced, you don't need to redo the painting. That the foundation is strong enough to push further. So the picture I got in my head was this war correspondent in a oversized. I got a little bit inspired by Miguel's topic, like a little bit oversized Space Marine body armor, right? But the war correspondent has died, and is walking the Earth, or walking the planet, rather. Maybe it's not even on Earth anymore. And I want to add, like I had this idea about, you know, camera equipment or floodlights, you know, so that he can be seen on television or capture the images correctly for TV, you know. I don't want to spend too much time on drawing the equipment, but it has to obviously communicate war correspondent. Man, I hate those words. Oh, I hate the words war correspondent. Yeah, anyways, I think I've been working on my art book a little bit more, and it's starting to look interesting. And I saw that Spiridon is releasing a sketchbook by Evan, not only from his Tane books, but like sketches in general, which is pretty cool. And apparently they have a lots of sketches to use, so that there's not going to be more than one, which is interesting to see, because like my art book will be mixed with paintings and sketches, so it will be interesting to see how the interest for Evan's sketchbook, how big the interest is. Obviously Evan is Evan and I am me, and it's not like one-to-one, but it will still be interesting to see like general well, acceptance of a sketchbook, art book. Because I don't know with you guys, but are there that many sketchbooks on the market? I'm not sure I've seen that many like sketchbooks. I've seen compilation of work art books, but never like the thinking man, you know, like the art book of sketches. Cosmoverse. Oh, that's true. That's true. Sketchbook tours. That's true. Yeah, but those sketchbooks, when they have them on like showcase, it's not really a sketchbook anymore. It's like a collection of illustrations in a book. It's not sketchbook. Not in what I would call a sketchbook. For me, sketchbooks are like investigations, you know, where you have to try things out, experiment with ideas, not like I'm gonna make a fantastic illustrations. Miguel, oh really? There's a lot? That's pretty cool. Good to know that there is a lot. Bad that it's oversaturated. I think the risk of just an art book in terms of sketches, that it's a little bit one-dimensional, and like I said, a lot of people don't treat their sketches like experiments and investigations, but they're like body of art, which then in return might just look like unfinished, like an unfinished portfolio, which, you know, might not be that fun to look through. I mean, is that how it looks on the other people's sketchbooks, or is it more like actual compilation of scanned pages from their things? I mean, I don't know. I haven't really looked into it, even though I'm gonna do my own. Miguel. Oh well, yeah. I mean, I think that's an underlying thing for anything that anyone ever says on internet. No one ever has facts on internet, right? So I came from I understood what you were saying as to the point of your own opinion. Ricky, yeah. Bruno Romanos decided that I should draw war correspondent zombie. So here I am experimenting with a technique I will soon kick into full gear. So 10 minutes of sketching, I think that's okay, while reading statements. Let's see what this will do to the image. 1 second, 1 second. Oh no, let's actually do something. No. Do this. You don't see anything of what I'm typing, obviously, but it'll soon make sense. It will soon make sense. Hopefully. My experiment. Nope. No good pictures. Let's try this one. This poor girl. Yeah. So I want to experiment with this overlay thing again. It's an old technique, old speed painters technique. This obviously isn't at all what I intended in terms of finding references, but let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I have no idea. Let's experiment. Hey, Korean proxy, how's it going? Yeah, like I was saying, this is a experiment. I have no idea how this will end up looking. We will see. I want to use a combination of different techniques to just see kind of what kind of complexity you can get out of it, and how fast. Obviously, the choices I made in terms of photo references or overlays were very random and struggled and at the top of my head. But the idea is I didn't want to ponder like too much about, is this the right one, finding the perfect thing. I just want to find something random that adds complexity to what I'm trying to do. To see, without planning and without setting everything up, what kind of happy accidents can I find. And I think one thing that kind of ruins it, which I noticed already, is the subtleties of light-only approach together with photo textures nukes that depth, nukes that beautiful kind of beautiful subtlety. You know, which makes me think how to preserve it. I mean, I know the idea of painting lights only in this is that it, like, you don't need to work everything, and when you add complexity like this, you're gonna need to work everything. But what I wanted to try was to see, could you get the same control by sketching out beforehand a little bit of what you want, and have coherent light, and then slap a bunch of textures on top, to get something for the colors to bite onto, for you to start seeing things, for you to start building an image from. And I think with those things in mind, I think this technique, I mean, has potential of being efficient, even with random ass photos of internet. Ricky, yeah, that is one of the reasons, why I wanted to try it. Is that it is gonna be very random, but I set the layer to soft light and lowered the opacity a bit, which means it's pushed back and it's not taken over all the values. It's kind of tinting what's already there with its own values and colors on top, but still retains the foundation I sketched out. So that was the idea of why I wanted to start with the idea first, to draw it out, so that anything I put on top would still have random aspects to it, but still retain the decisions I've already made. Yeah, I mean, you could get the same result using a texture brush for sure. But what I wanted to try specifically is the random aspect of using a photo and rotating it and putting it on top to get random spots of color, one, and the other one, instant complexity that is not created by me. Because if I would start making brush marks, I would be starting to decide where the marks are going, right? And it would start affecting the painting. It wouldn't be very random anymore. I don't think you fully can make random marks, based on our brain. Our brain would definitely, even though it's like, this is not a decision, the brain has made some sort of decision. I mean, it is a fun way to get things done, and using photos and so on is always a little bit of a tricky thing to do, because copyright and so on. But in this instance, how I'm using the photos is totally not in any way, uh, you know, breach of any copyright thing, because I'm not using the photos themselves in that sense. I'm just taking the noise. And Scott Robertson had a many years ago. I think he had a Noma DVD, which was really cool. He used a marker and made like scribbles with the marker. He then scanned all the scribbles, put them all in a master file, and then he changed the layer settings on a couple of the layers so that all the things started blending together, and then he kind of moved a selection around until he saw something interesting. Then he copied that out to a separate file, and then he kept searching, switching other layers on and off, and just kind of exploring the mind, what the mind sees in totally random decisions. And it was a really fun technique to use to just, first of all, like setting the painting or the files up in terms of, okay, I'm gonna arrange this, I'm gonna fix it this way, I'm gonna be drawing like these marks and so on and so on, whatever. And then you just let your brain do all the heavy lifting by just looking until you see something interesting. Hey Shartha, you are seeing War Correspondent Zombie thanks to Bruno Romanos. And I'm experimenting with a technique. Anyway, so what Scott Robertson did that way, like, was really cool. And you could zoom in, zoom out, because it wasn't really, it didn't really matter the quality or the resolution or anything. It was just all down to getting that spark of imagination, that act of randomness to incite the brain to see something and get an idea. And then you could take that little idea, sketch it up, blow it up, you know, do all these things. Yeah, you think that if your personal, that you have a large mental library. True, true. But you'd be surprised how well the brain can spot things. And yes, the better you are, the better the end result is going to be. But you can never be better unless you try it, right? Practice. Start seeing things. And I used to do that when I used to do more than one sketch. There is this Facebook group called Spit Paint, right? And this group is all 30 minutes only, no photos, no texture brushes, more or less, I think. At least was the general rule. Texture brushes as in, you know, like trees, or obviously I'm using a textured brush now, and you were okay to use that. But anyways, what the idea was that you had topic, and I never did this same topic. You know, I wasn't a frequent painter, so I drew the whole week worth of spit paints in one evening. So what I did, let's say this would be a half an hour, and I would take this part, let's say, and do kind of like that, and go, oh, what is this? And then I would start painting the next topic. And I would reuse the textures, and obviously, depending on the topic, I had to shift the hue, but still use all the brushwork and the textures and things in a separate, or again rather, you know, it was a really nice way to get a quick start, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to try this technique to just see how complex you could make an image and how fast. I think that with 4 minutes left, I can say that because of the random nature of the photos I used, they didn't really help me that much. So in that fact, it worked against me to having to just pick something and do something with it, rather than carefully selecting a little bit more appropriate textures to use or so forth, you know. But that's what you get for drawing on a time limit. It didn't really help with like the overall complexity, because the noise mostly just became frequency noise. But I would rather bet that if I would do it again, the result wouldn't be as similar. I'm quite sure that the results would vary, and you would have a lot of higher chance of hit and miss using this technique, but you would also get a lot of interesting results in terms of things that you would not necessarily have drawn if you would have drawn everything from scratch. Hey, Ice Die. Erika, yeah. It is to find bits of randomness, but also that bit of randomness could be in more than one direction, right? So the idea was I didn't want to start shape searching using this technique. I wanted to, because you asked me to draw a war correspondent zombie, right? So I had to start the ball rolling by defining what it is that I was supposed to draw. I mean, I could have randomly just drawn something and made it into maybe a war correspondent, and then it would be even further like utterly random. But now I wanted to see, okay, so I'm sketching out what I need to draw, and then I'm going to try to add the complexity through texture work. Just to see, you know, like how well can you use something and get a result quickly. Oh, the tiles? Yeah, I had a lot of them, and some of them fell down, and I didn't put them all up. I worked on over 60 games, so but yeah, there are a few. But yeah, they're not all of them are there, obviously. It is a fun technique, Miguel. Like I said, it does open the door for randomness, which is great. And you can get some interesting results if you lean on the random textures being generated, colors being generated. But like I said, one of the ideas was to see how complex you could get the base, so that if you would decide to push this further, how much work would it require for you to push further. But seeing this and seeing the end result, I am thinking it has potential, but you are at the mercy of randomness. But it is a fun technique. Yeah, no other reason to buy DVDs. Exactly. Most of them, some of them, they are printed and put in a DVD case. It's not even the game inside. But yeah, it was a fun experimentation technique. I'm going to try it tomorrow as well, with your random topic and a random photo from internet, and we'll see where that goes. It has potential, and it is fun. Let's see, who can we raid? Tim or Warmix? Mindwick. We're gonna stream. We're gonna raid a person from the community, Mindwaker. He's AFK at the moment, but he has a notice of being right back, so we'll see. Let's surprise him. Thanks everyone for joining in. Have a fantastic day. Good night if you're that part of the world. The end result was okay. Fun experiment though. Kept me on my toes. Anyways, have a good one. See you tomorrow morning.